Spurs, but also Memphis will rest some players tonight.
It's that way for us sometimes too. But listen, this is the summer league. The squads are pretty big. I'm sure they want to take a look at some of the other players that didn't get to play yesterday. But obviously there are a couple that each team's going to have out there that we saw play yesterday as well.
And thorough we will see, however, Luka Samanic, San Antonio's 19th pick from Croatia. Maybe a little nervous last night, still put together 11.7 rebounds and a couple of blocks.
Yeah.
Coffee with the Jazz back in 2012. This arena will fill in. The late game tonight will have the Utah Jazz on the floor against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You'll see that one as well here on NBA TV. And let's play some summertime hoop. Here we go.
And you already talked about don't know what the stoppage was, Bowler.
Well, they're going to reset the clock. I don't know if that's a clock problem, but I'm looking up at it right now, and they did take 21 on the shot clock. I'm not real sure if there's no possession change, so a whistle starts day 2.
We're good. Here we go.
All right, so we're at 9:57, and remember in Summer League, 10-minute quarters, 10 fouls along the way.
And I was about to say some of the things to look for differently. You mentioned one of the altitude. Maybe it takes a day or so to get used to it with some players. We'll see how Samanic reacts to it as well.
Lawson, big man, takes the first shot of the night, and down it goes deep. Ben Lawson, 7'1" big man out of Western Kentucky. He did play last night, limited minutes, but came up with 7 points and 6 rebounds. As Memphis went on to beat the Jazz, going away 85-68 in that first night of play here in Salt Lake. San Antonio also winners. They knocked off the Cleveland Cavaliers 97-89.
We know we're going to see a lot of 3 balls. That's really is what this NBA is all about in this era. But some of the other things I want to be looking for, you saw Big Ben Lawson stretch out on the 3-point line, but let's see what happens inside.
Simi right to left and puts up a floater for 2. So it's a quick 5-0 lead for Memphis. Nice pass down low, and the ball is up and down.
Well, that was a beautiful back door by Samanic. Took it, brought this guy out, cut back door, and then a nice assist for that 2.
Robinson scores the first 2 for the Spurs out of Kansas. He was a 5th player taken overall way back in 2012 by Sacramento. That's a tap in for 2. Memphis off to a nice start. High percentage shots. Maybe minus that Ben Lawson 3 for a big man, but he drained it.
He did drain it, and when you can have that kind of size and be able to stroke it from the outside and also be able to battle on the inside, he gets a foul right here, Ben does, but he's got a lot of value when he can shoot it the way he does.
Well, T, I mean, you're 6'11", and I don't know how you would have fared in the league today. You had that great baseline jump shot. We call it the corkscrew J.
That's right, baby.
But, you know, here's a 7-foot big man who can actually just prove that he can knock down a 3 and then go inside and tap it in for 2. I mean, in the day you played, and you were a national champ at North Carolina State, could you hit the 3 ball today?
I believe I could, because really what it's all about is what you're training for. I mean, that era, the 3-point shot, in college we didn't even have it. We experimented with it in the ACC, and I shot some of those, but here's Samanic getting a shot blocked by Simi down there. But, it really is all about what type of player you're trying to design to be. And here's a nice timing there by Simi. But short answer, Bowler, absolutely.
Absolutely. I was just waiting to finally have you say, yes, I could.
I had to explain why.
Exactly.
It's a different era, different game.
Leggett comes inside baseline, takes on the big man. That's a nice pass, but it's knocked down of bounds with 6 on the shot. Leggett out of Alabama, Huntsville. He played 18 games with Atlanta last year. Last night, 8 points. He knocked down a pair of 3s. So, yeah, 3-point ability for the 6'1" guard. He gets it back and again tries to force that pass inside. And the Grizzlies pick it up and on the run with Harvey. Harvey on a slip slide shot. Tough bucket up and off the rim. And a loose ball to San Antonio the other way. That's Ben Moore. Ball's loose. Got it back. Put it up. Count it. And one. Ben Moore on a USC on the board.
Well, Ben Moore was fortunate on that drive because he really had the right side angle on it. He tried to go into a Euro step and met the defense, but was able to get it back and put it down.
3-point play. Ben Moore last night, 10 points. Did not miss a shot against the Cavaliers. He was 4 for 40, 24 minutes. And he's back for more tonight. We mentioned that some rest was given to some players tonight as Majette picks up a loose ball and a high lob pass up top in San Antonio. You know, that's Spurs basketball. That's Popovich basketball. You turn it over, you pay.
You're right. And Majette did a nice job because also Spurs basketball is thinking to play ahead. He went to get that basketball and knew before he picked it up he was going to have some teammates open.
Spurs grab the rebound off the miss. Johnson, Samanic back outside for 3 on a catch and shoot off the rim, tapped out. And it's going to be Spurs ball with 14 back on the shot.
Right here. Majette goes after that basketball, gets the 50-50, throws it right up. There wasn't much time between picking up the ball and throwing that lob. That's a sign of a really alert player.
Quick inbound. Johnson on a drive, pulls up, jumper's good. Smooth shot.
Pretty shot.
9-0 run San Antonio after a sluggish start. Johnson's knocked down 3 buckets, 6 points here in the first quarter of play. Out of Kentucky, he was the 29th player taken in the first round. He'll be all of 20 October 1st of this year. October 11th, pardon me. Memphis finally breaks that 9-0 drought as Hannah scores his first 2. He went 15 minutes against Utah last night. 6 points out of Arkansas.
And Hannah's game, as the ball goes out here on, maybe there's a foul call here. But Hannah's game reminds me a little bit of Raul Neto. Just kind of calm and relaxed, takes the open shot. Never really takes a big risk to hurt his team.
See his numbers. He's 43% from downtown. G League play last year.
I saw him warming up before the game at the three-point line. He wasn't missing many of them.
You know, and Thurl, I think most fans who watch the NBA on a regular basis, the three-point line is going to be interesting debate over the next few years because the 3 has become so common. It used to be such a special shot, but now it's almost like a given the 3 is going to be put down. Maybe one day the 4. The Cavaliers and the Jazz. The California Classic continues on. That first game on ESPN2, Lakers and Warriors, 11 o'clock Eastern time. You'll see the Heat and the Sacramento Kings. If you like basketball, you'll love it the next couple of weeks. Vegas just around the corner. Ledbetter. We've watched him the last couple of 3 summers in Salt Lake City, and Ledbetter still trying to find his way on an NBA roster. He has great shot, good defender out of Idaho.
He doesn't waste any time either, Bowler. I mean, just comes into the game and he's already game ready to take a shot. Got the headband swinging. Maybe that's a new trend that started, what, last year?
Yeah, last year or so. Instead of the headband, you got the wrap where you can tie it.
Yeah.
And it looks, I don't know, it kind of gives you the tough look. I think you look good in that.
I don't know about that, but.
Hey, let's bring in the radio voice of the Utah Jazz, David Locke.
He looked good in it.
Thank you. We do have a report of an NBA signing, guys. The Utah Jazz have reportedly signed Jeff Green to the minimum contract to add to their ever-growing roster of reports.
You know, that's an interesting take, David. Then that report, if true, will just continue to build the Jazz roster. Defenders, shooters,
veterans.
Well, Green's a really interesting player because of the way he's evolved. He was, for a long time, kind of the mid-range master, known as being very inefficient, and also was often oversigned and then has been traded for more first-round draft picks than just about anybody. But if you look at his evolution of the last few seasons, last year he shot 47% of his field goal attempts as three-point shots. So he's really become a spot-up three-point shooter. The previous year in Cleveland, he shot just 26% of his shots as three-point shots. So he's evolved as he's gotten older, and evolved the way the game is evolving.
You know, come July 6th, David, all these
for you?
Everything's been good. You know, I've been, playing a lot with these guys in scrimmages, and just being around them now, being able to have, support them while they're on the court doing their thing is great.
So what do you think about this new era of Memphis Grizzly ball?
It's fast-paced. It's young. We're just getting up and down the floor. We're learning every day, though. We got a new coach, so he's learning with us, but we're all going to make it work. We got the pieces. We just got to put them together.
Speaking of the pieces, the newest addition, Ja. I understand you were there at the draft night with him. What was that like for you, knowing you're going to get a guy like that?
It wasn't just special because of that. It was especially, I've already kept up with him. I've seen, his growth, and I was just happy he's getting this opportunity off front, just being a friend to him. But, to having him on my team, to have him really play with me now is great.
Well, Coach described you guys as the dynamic duo for this coming season. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Two to play and an 8-0 run force that quick timeout by Memphis. I'll tell you, the Spurs taking advantage of quick-handed defense. They forced turnovers tonight, 6 in all for Memphis, and they're scoring 9 points off those 6 giveaways.
Yeah, they are swarming all over the Grizzlies. Coming up with basketballs right here. Watch the screen. Got jolted on that one. But the Spurs are just doing a great job of not allowing the Grizzlies to get to where they want to go. Off pick and rolls, they're getting great help. They're jumping the passing lanes, getting steals, and capitalizing on the other end.
Yeah, the defense very crisp. As you said, there's a lot of hops in those legs tonight. There's another steal takeaway. Johnson right to left hand. They'll float it up. They'll follow just off the rim, and Memphis will push it the other way. There's a high lob pass, Beauty, but cannot put it down. Just came off the hands of Simi. Little taken out baseline. 14 on the shot. Hanna's puts a handle on it. Off to his right hand, now passes out. 7 on the shot for Memphis. You may hear him calling it out on that bench. They got it down to 4 on the clock.
I think it got bailed out.
Yeah, there's a foul whistled against Thomas Robinson.
Yeah, Robinson bailed the Grizzlies out because obviously the shot clock was running down, and the Grizzlies were a little confused collectively as to what they were supposed to be running.
Shot clock resets at 14. Evans with a tough turnaround shot. It was in, T. Came right back out on a rollout. We got a Spur man down. That's Jordan Green holding his eye.
And they still got a bucket. Kelp Johnson with a nice high percentage shot.
Kendall Johnson's interesting. He plays at Kentucky, and there's so much talent there. You just wonder whether or not they were able to utilize what he does. Go back to Devin Booker, when Devin Booker played on that team with Karl Anthony Towns and Trey Lyles and all those others, and Willie Cauley-Stein. He only ran 11 pick and rolls his entire season in Kentucky. and then got to the NBA and showed he's, as much as we think of him as a scorer, a shooter, he's really just a scorer now, Devin Booker. You wonder whether Kendall Johnson has a whole nother game that we weren't able to see at Kentucky.
He played 1 year, David, 13.6 rebounds, and Keldon, you know, we mentioned his age. I mean, just 19. He's playing a little bit more above that tonight. I mean, it looks like he's a very comfortable rookie in this league. What, his second game?
Yeah.
My, oh, my.
I think a lot of that, too, starts with AAU. You know, they run a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of isolation sets, getting some of these kids ready.
You're playing the pro game
to show their ability. That's right.
So Kendall Johnson, as we see him here, last year, 24% of his possessions were in transition, 36% of his possessions were spot-ups. He did almost nothing with the ball in his hands. He ran a total of 15 pick and rolls that ended with him having some impact on the play for the entire season. He ran 8 isolation plays for the entire season. So he's got a whole new world open up when he gets to the NBA. Oh, did I mention his 4 post-ups? He was pretty much a sit out and let the other guys go to work and take advantage of their action guy.
You know, you said he's a scorer, but, you know, I looked down at his numbers, too, and, David, 38% from 3. I'm anxious to see how that translates to the NBA.
Well, the incredible one that should have the Spurs excited, Bowler, is 45% on unguarded catch and shoots. So 3-point with an effective field goal percentage of 66%. So when he got opportunities, he hit them. And for a college player, he hit 40% of his shots off the bounce. That's high for a college player.
Josh Majette back on the court, running the show. Off to Johnson behind his back. 7 minutes left in the first half.
He bailed himself out of that one pretty well.
He sure did. Majette bails it out again. Shot clock to 3. Samanic cannot finish in the paint. 2-on-1 to Harvey. And he high steps it in for the layup and a 6-0 run. Memphis maybe trying to get some confidence back. It's really been dominated this first half by San Antonio.
They have, and that last
7 rebounds last night in the 29 minutes on the floor. And I mentioned leadership because he seemed to be a little bit lacking of that when he came out of college, out of Miami. He was the 18th pick.
Yep.
But T, you're overwhelmed when you come out of college, and it does take that year of adjustment.
Yeah, a lot of guys are, and it's all about your learning curve. How quickly can you adjust to the next level?
Samanic comes out with the loose ball. Majette's got to hurry. 3 on the shot clock. It's deep, and he airballed it. Now let's go courtside. A little update from Kristen Kenny.
I just wanted to add on Lonnie Walker, because after talking with him last night after his solid game, we were talking about how obvious it is to us that he's playing at a different level. I asked him if he felt it was obvious for him. He said absolutely, he feels it, and he credits the Spurs development program for putting in the work and believing in him and giving him the opportunity. We saw him hit 2 jumpers last night, and he says, hey, that's my bread and butter. That's what I want to be doing.
Bread and butter.
Well, that's one of the reasons we just saw Samanic run the break and get a dunk. But because he is at a developing team like the San Antonio Spurs, much like the Jazz are with players, guys like he and Walker are really going to be thrown right into the mix and giving that leadership ability and also to improve their game.
You know, getting back just to put a bow on that story with Walker and about his leadership, what Blake Ahern spoke of was the fact that he's been able to go out and actually share his first-year experience with the rest of these young rookies. Sometimes, you know, you may just want to hide out and work on your own game, but to actually share some of those experiences to you, I mean, that comes up big for a young player.
It is, and a lot of young players, their personalities aren't geared towards sharing those kind of things. I mean, because they're still kind of new. Communication skills aren't where they want them to be, but Lonnie Walker has a great jump.
Luka all of a sudden has awakened. He missed his first 2 shots. He's knocked down 2 consecutive shots, and he's got a quick 5 as the Spurs run with Barnett and lays it up and in.
Nice job by Barnett going across the grain of the defense. Defense is coming left with Lee. Barnett goes right with an easy bucket.
Barnett out of Missouri. Memphis answers back with a bucket by Keenan Evans. He's on the board for the first time.
Guys,
Texas Tech.
Guys, we have a report. A report of a signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. Jared Dudley. Oh, that wasn't what you thought I was going to say.
The way you did a great job to sell it,
set it up, baby.
David. You sold it well. I was on the edge of my seat. Dudley to the Lakers. That's reported.
Reports of Jared Dudley, a one-year deal with the Los Angeles Lakers.
I have a feeling a lot of one-year deals.
Well, if that's true, I don't know what else to say after that.
Barnett. Oh, the crowd in the house loves that effort. Up top and rattles the rim. Boy, San Antonio's given us a mix of power inside, T. We've seen the outside shot for 3, and that lead jumps to 51-29.
Well, this crowd's been looking for some excitement, and they just got it. Off the fast break, nice tomahawk by Barnett. Getting way up in the air.
Well, Barnett 6'7", did not play last night. Even Walker is staring in amazement. Efficient from the floor, T, with 5 rebounds.
Well, Memphis has a lot of work to do in this half. They're only shooting 25% from the three-point line. Credit the Spurs defense, but Memphis has to find a way to find that balance like the Spurs have. You talked about inside out. Memphis is really trying to rely on that outside shot a little bit too much.
So third quarter underway, 10-minute quarters as Moore takes it. Now Robinson looking for a passer. He finds his man, Lucas Samanic, and that ball, good look off the rim of the rebound of Memphis. Cleared out by Lawson.
Yeah, I thought Samanic could have gotten to that shot in one dribble instead of 2. Would have given them a little bit more time.
And the second dribble brought the defender to him. He had to double clutch it.
And David, another turnover gives San Antonio a real easy layup on the other end.
Thurl, is that the biggest jump, is how fast the shooting window disappears or how quickly you've got to get the shot off?
I think it is, D. I mean, the guys are so much quicker now, and especially coming off that pick and roll sometimes. If you can get there in one dribble and get it up before the defense gets to you, a lot of times you can get a foul on that, but the longer you wait, the more advantage it is for the defense.
One of my favorite NBA guys is Bob Weiss, who coached the Atlanta Hawks and the San Antonio Spurs for a long time. He's actually 3 rows behind me right now. He used to always talk about useless dribbles. How often guys in this league, when they first enter the league, they dribble but are in no better situation than they were when they started that dribble. And that's a little bit of even that one dribble right there. He didn't gain anything from that second dribble. It just allowed someone to get to him.
Yeah, and you don't see, back in the old days in the NBA, you used to isolate guys and let them just do their thing. You see some of that as the shot clock's running down. We had some of that with Joe Johnson here. When you know you need a bucket, Donovan Mitchell's the same type of player.
Basket interference, take that hoop out.
Joe Johnson was getting to the spots on the floor that said JJ.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, basket interference. Still in that cylinder. I saw Joe Johnson looking pretty good on that 3-on-3.
I haven't watched him yet, but I heard.
I'll tell you, he's one of the best in-shape athletes I've been around. Joe Johnson, multiple All-Star in the NBA, and the hot yoga. I mean, when he was with the Jazz, I mean, he was probably the most conditioned athlete I've been around.
No question about it. He took pride in it.
Johnson rises up and shoots. That ball's loose, and a rebound fought for and won by Memphis. Well, they double down and they reach in for the foul. It will be on Robinson of San Antonio.
I tell you, the Grizzlies look up, and the Spurs are everywhere. I mean, they're swarming every single possession, just trying to make them cough it up. And they've done a good job at it.
I'm looking at Blake Cahill, I was just thinking of Pops. I mean, totally different look, but still that stare and that very non-emotional look. I mean, Blake's got it down.
Well, I'm sure. I spend enough time with you. I want to pick up some of your qualities, but I'm sure you spend enough time around Pop, you're going to pick up some of those.
Going to take it away. Johnson, offensive foul. Harvey got there in time to draw the foul.
Keldon Johnson's figuring out a lot of things we talked about a lot earlier. I'd like to see a wow athletic moment. Like on that one, I don't know if he could have done it, but where he got his feet underneath him so he could go up a little bit, or just, I don't know if he has it. That's kind of what I'm looking to see. And then maybe if he had it, he'd be a top 10 pick instead of a top 30 pick.
Down low, Simi scores his first bucket since the first quarter out of Vanderbilt. 14 minutes played last night, a couple of steals, just 1 point in that win against Utah. Jazz will play the Cavs here later as Majette runs through the paint. 7 on the shot clock. Nice pass. Moore.
Beautiful
easy
pass.
Bucket. They were able to draw Big Ben Lawson out of the paint. That's the easiest bucket for San Antonio, despite some of those buckets on turnovers by Memphis.
And a beautiful pass by Thomas Robinson, too, just to get it in there. One-handed pass comes in handy. You don't have time to put it on the floor.
Moore now with 11 points. He's been steady throughout.
Right here off the screen.
That's how you open the floor.
Yeah.
And strained out Harvey. And now a jump ball with Majette and Evans. Tap one by Memphis, a quick three.
Majette was serious about getting that jump ball, too. I want you to know that.
You notice that as well. I mean, he was bent, and he was like a pair of springs ready to unload. Another baseline pass and a bucket. I'd say that's a terrific finish by Ben Moore, and he'll get a free throw.
I'm sitting on the other side from you. It's a great cut. You can't see it there on that replay, but he actually made eye contact with Samanic earlier right there and then went back door. So he had made eye contact with him, slid down to the baseline, and then cut. That was a really heady play by Moore to make himself available for that pass.
D-Lock, yesterday we talked about size and players putting weight on. That's where really it is effective. When you go in that strong and you're going to take that hit and you're able to finish in that way, it's an asset.
Another long rebound off that miss, and Robinson an easy bucket on the other end, and a quick timeout by the Grizzlies. That's what happens. I mean, even in the league, in the NBA, you get a long rebound off a missed three, you better pedal back.
Broadcast partner on our Jazz radio calls. Spurs looking great on the floor today, but their ball club Western Conference playoff team in a Western Conference, according to reports, has gone bananas. But interesting group. They get DeJounte Murray back. Derek White really had a nice year for them last year. They still have Patty Mills, and then you've got those two bona fide scorers in DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. How do you see this Spurs team looking?
You know, that's a team that just does not go away because they have a system in place. They do a great job of getting complementary players that complement the system for the most part, and then they just doesn't go away. They've always been a great team. I think as long as Popovich is there will be, this is what you get out of them.
Well, 20-plus years in the playoffs, and probably if the West is as it is reported to be, there's going to be some people that wonder whether they make it.
Well, but still, you never can count them out because of what they do best is they just put pieces in there, and then the system does the rest for them. And we saw that last year with the way they just quietly got the job done, and all of a sudden, there they are in the playoffs.
We've done talked to Jaren Jackson Jr. We've talked to John Morant to feature him at halftime. You watched Stockton and Malone for all those years. That's what Grizzly fans are hoping they're getting, is another version of that with those two youngs. It took a long time before those two had their magic.
That's for sure. You're talking about John and Carl. Yeah, and once Jeff Hornacek got to the Jazz, that made them a much better basketball team because Jeff was a great shooter, great free throw shooter, a great teammate. And I think that's what we're seeing here now with the Jazz. I think the team the Jazz had up to this point had gone as far as it can go with that team. So they made some great moves. They're going to put some some shooters out there on the floor and let the system do the rest.
For the Grizzly fans, as they watch their young team develop with that #2 pick, with last year's Jaren Jackson, which is fabulous, what are the things they should look for as they look for development? Because wins and losses may be difficult to judge.
You know, anytime you're trying to put together a basketball team, again, you just can't emphasize enough of getting guys that complement each other and complement the system. You know, the Grizzlies, they're a long ways away. I mean, and they just have to take their time and get guys that fit around Jaren Jackson, and for the most part get it done. I had a chance to talk to Jennings, the coach, before just the other day, and they're more concerned with pace and getting guys that can get the ball to the floor and play early in the shot clock. Watched them practice up here at the University of Utah, and their practice scrimmage anyway was based on an 18-second clock. It wasn't a 24-second clock that they used. They used an 18-second clock because of the way they want to play.
The guys might have noticed they were at altitude at that point. All right, thank you very much, Ron Boone. Back over to Craig and Thurl.
All right, thanks, David. Big T, Ron Boone. Some interesting insight. You know, and going back inside of the Spurs for a moment, you know, Pops, the report is that he's on close to signing a new three-year contract extension. Would put him in the chair for the 24th consecutive year. It's amazing. One team, one coach, much like what Jerry Sloan did in Utah.
Yeah, it's unheard of nowadays to have a guy, especially at this level, an impatient league, to be able to last that long. Well, that's how great he is.
Longevity just doesn't happen much anymore in any professional sport, or even in college, so to speak. But you know, Sloan with the Miller family, and of course what they've done in San Antonio, R.C. Buford and company, and just the way they run things, and the belief in Pops is well proven.
Well, D-Lock and Boone just talked about John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. trying to develop that partnership long term. I'm not sure in this day and age you'll ever find a duo that has gone as long as Carl and John did and develop that kind of quiet instinct. They know where
And T, we also talked to Coach Beeline from the Cavs. And you remember both these coaches have somewhat some similarities, but age no.
Yeah.
Experience in college with Coach Beeline, but they both mentioned to us, look, it's a process for us as coaches as well to get to know these players, and for us to understand the NBA lingo language that these guys, some of the vets know. And so it's a tough situation to be in, to be a rookie coach, but at least you have summer league to kind of get your feet wet, right?
Yeah, you do. And the basketball is what it is, but a huge important part of this game is the buy-in of the players to their leader as their coach, and the respect that you get from that. And a lot of that respect is already there because they know that the coach is knowledgeable, but the communication factor, how to get a guy motivated, how not to, there's some young players who may not be used to getting yelled at. There may be some who need to be hollered at, every once in a while. So you've got to get to know each individual player and how to keep them motivated.
So what you're trying to tell me is a psychology degree would come
absolutely.
in handy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You have to handle each individual as an individual.
Yeah, and also know you can't make everybody happy. And, it's not necessarily democracy in this high-paying league. You're trying to win games, and you're going to put the best players out there on the floor.
Johnson continues to up his point total tonight with 24. In fact, he has scored 9 of San Antonio's 11 fourth-quarter points. Samanic had position for that rebound, but Robinson just simply took it away.
Right, big brother gets 3 Oreos, little brother gets 1.
Little brother may not get any.
But Jet with a beautiful
You're right,
pass.
because he just took the last one right there.
That was awesome.
Thomas Robinson rocks the rim, but the pass, we'll see it on this replay coming up, I'm sure, but Majet put it right where it had to be. And back comes Memphis. How about Lee's pass up top to the big fella? I like Lawson's game tonight. He showed us that early 3 ball, and now he's been hammering the rim a couple of times as well. There's a Ledbetter for 3.
Listen, the dunks are great because they're high percentage shots, but just as important, even more importantly, is the ability to throw that high pass and make it perfect for the dunker.
Hannes comes back with a 3 ball.
What's interesting about that high pass is the floaters become so important in the game as teams have dropped the big, but it's such a low percentage shot. The floater zone in the NBA, which is kind of the paint non-restricted area, the league average is only making that shot 38% of the time. It's actually one of the worst shots you can have in the league. So if you can suddenly widen the range into a lob to a guy for a dunk, that's a much higher percentage play.
You know, there's these 2 back-to-back dunks, David, that both the guards stay close. We got the Cavs and Jazz, and then on ESPN2, you'll see the Lakers battle the Golden State Warriors.
Wonder how that hairstyle would look in gray. I might try that, Bowler. What do you think?
You know, it's never too late.
Take me 5 years. No, it's too late.
Is it too late?
You're being too nice.
There are ways, Daryl.
Yeah.
There are ways.
Yes, there are. You can buy hair nowadays.
There are ways. Be San Antonio ball. 4:44 to go. Spurs trying to go 2-0 in Summer League. And they'll wrap it up tomorrow night against Utah in the finale. Before both, all these 4 teams will be headed to Las Vegas. Moore out behind the 3 line. Puts a body into Lawson and then tosses it into the crowd. I'll tell you, once he hit Lawson, he was off balance and he had nowhere to go and tossed it into the front row.
Lawson did a nice job, you know, with that big long body of his, is keeping him in front, keeping the offense in front of him and not allowing him to get around.
Yeah, don't worry.
Memphis trying to work the blender a little bit. Hannes has that ball stolen, but a foul whistled. Still waiting to see who they're going to. Yeah, they're going to call that foul on Hannes.
Hannes is a little surprised. He's going to have a word with Derek Richardson.
You know, and this is what we see in Summer League, and I thought this is what it was, a transition take foul. So the foul to stop the fast break that is not clear path. This is going to be interesting to see if the league will take this from here on out. But the team has awarded just 1 free throw, and they do keep possession. You see a lot of teams, because they get beat on defense, they'll just reach in and say, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
And the league's just trying to make sure that doesn't happen as often.
It really has become a norm now across the league.
And what team did it more than any other team in the NBA over the last 2 years, men?
Sounds like the Utah Jazz, the way that question's been posed.
Jazz had the best transition defense in the NBA for the last 2 years, largely because they never let you get in transition. They just grabbed you and fouled you.
Yeah. Ledbetter just knocked down his 5th 3. He's taken 12 shots. And his first bucket tee made since that opening quarter where he hit 4 threes. Short shot clock, forced up a shot by Evans. And now Ledbetter back front court to Majet. He'll take the deep 3. And a foul over the back. That's going to be on Ben Moore.
Ben Moore will bring
Ben Moore picks up foul number 2. Aldridge checks back in for Memphis.